This step-by-step review covers the 1965 Mercury Comet. It's a BFX 125 scale kit from Moebius, number 2755. And this kit is a skill level 3 for the intermediate builder. Just released last year, this replicates the Bill Strop Engineering company down in Florida that built 15 of these vehicles in 1965, and they used the 289 small block engine, but with Shelby Cobra carburation, it could produce nearly 400 horsepower. And this model is a replica of the Spence Ford sponsored drag racer from the 60s. Now, every kit has some issues, and we'll tell you about those and how to fix them. It also has highlights. We'll discuss all of those. As you can see, there's a list here that will investigate all those units, and there's some opportunities too. It's got extra parts from previous versions for your stash, and most of the OEM type of decals can be modified to reflect an accurate racer. Now, this kit is based on the original stock Comet Cyclone model that was released by Moebius, and as you see here, and it's been issued in several variations since, and this is a re-release of the 2016 kit number 1210. Here is the layout of the kit. There's 123 parts molded in light gray beige, and they've got some chrome-plated parts with clear pieces and black vinyl tires with water slide decals and instructions. And as you can see, the parts are molded pretty cleanly. They've kept these molds in good shape. The window glass is pretty clear and pretty thin, and the chrome plating isn't garish or toy-like. Tires are nicely molded, although there's no script on them. But overall, the parts are in pretty good shape. The decals are pretty nicely done. You see here the Spence Ford decals, and they did a good job of replicating the gold foil on the original car there, and also the icons and figures that were used on the actual racer. Well, we got the parts to start building the engine here, the blocked heads and the covers, and of course the attached transmission is gray. The bell house was painted red to match the body, and then of course dark blue for the Ford motor and some gold valve covers. So now grab the rest of the parts out of the kit. And by the way, if you've got any questions about placement, etc. of parts, the instructions are at the back of the review. But as you can see, the exhaust is a steel color. We've got an aluminum intake there, and some nice looking carbs. The fan and the pulleys are all black, and there's again some more Ford blue parts there, and some of the rest flat black on some of the hoses. So get those ready for assembly. All assembled now. As you can see, it's a nicely appointed engine. It's got those 4 carbs up top and nice looking headers, and you can see that this engine was designed and built for business on the track. It's made for a straight line race, and it has all the goodies from the 1965 era. So now with the motor assembled and staged, we're going to add that to the chassis. And what you need to do is scrape off any paint, or also you'll need to scrape off any chrome for parts you want to join together. And when you put the motor in, you're going to want to make sure that it is fully seated on the motor mounts and is looking perpendicular to the frame. So paint the wheel backs flat black, and as you see here, you can assemble the tires, the one-piece tires. You simply sandwich the tires between the inners and outers, and note that there are bigger tires in the back, the racing slicks for this version, than the front, so the wheels are different depths as well. Now we can take a look at the front suspension spindles there and the brakes, and so we'll assemble those. You see the pin there, that's obviously the axle pin for the front wheels. And now you can see that the chassis has been painted a flat black on the lower portion and the engine bay area, and the inner portion is a dark red to match the interior of the vehicle. Now the firewall there is just in front of the strut brace that will need to be trimmed off, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the rest of the parts are, semi-gloss black to build the engine bay and the radiator support cores, etc. So go ahead and assemble those. If you've got any questions, take a look at section 7 and 8 at the end of the review. So here's that strut tower brace, and it needs to have the ends trimmed off. You've seen them in the previous view there, and it gets glued in place into the inner fender panels. And I looked at some of the real cars photos, and I think on the big block version, it was removed altogether. So that's what I did. I left it off of my build as well. And so here's what the engine compartment will look like when you've got it all put together. Make sure that you get all of the pegs and slots and grooves filled properly, and assemble it so that they're all flush and nicely seated into their respective positions. So you see the front suspension mostly installed here, and the fuel tank is painted aluminum. Now we're going to add the rear suspension. Most of those parts are steel with some medium gloss black on the suspension pieces, shocks. We're also going to install the front tie rod at this time too. And also, you'll note when you construct this that the tie rod doesn't really connect the wheels together, so it doesn't work as posable steering. You're basically turning each tire separately, if you want to do that. Now we'll work on the dashboard. You can see that the dash has been painted red to match the car's red color. There's a stalk on the column, and we'll put the wheel together. That's a flat black with a chrome inserts, and also there's a pedal block there that's flat black. Now we have some extra gauges for the racing car, the race car. We got a tack up top and some more gauges underneath. But there's also a spot in there with a molded-in radio, and the radio would have been removed for a race car. So go ahead and smooth that off and use the decals for the gauge cluster there. Next we'll work on the interior. You see the panels and seats have been painted red, and the dashboard is assembled. It's looking pretty good. Nice big tack there. We're going to add these pieces to the interior. Also note that the interior side panels have the original stock car, and I don't mean racer, but OEM stock car factory as a kind of like panel design on them, and those ridges probably should be smooth. Maybe even if you wanted more authenticity, replace it with a flat piece of plastic. So here you see the interior all assembled, and don't forget to add that Hearst style shift lever there into the console to finish her up. Now it's time to prep the body, and you see the red lines there up over the drip rail and down the fenders. Those are a parting line that needs to be kind of smoothed off. So use some light sandpaper and remove those or scrape them off. And then you see also some emblems around the body of the car. Now those need to be scraped off and smoothed off if you're going to use the decal emblems, because it'll distort the decals. So if you want to replace those with the decals, go ahead and smooth those off at the same time. And then continue to prep the body. Make sure you remove any attachment points or any sinks, etc., and get that cleaned up to your liking. Now, one of the only fit issues that I discovered in the kit was at the back end here. And after you get the body prepped, you're going to want to do a lot of test fitting back here where the rear tail light panel and the lower body panel come together so that the bumper will fit in there. It doesn't really fit without taking a little bit off of the edges so that can be placed. So you can size that up when you put the pieces in place, and then see that you're going to need a little bit of clearance for the bumper. So do that before you get it and put those all together. So after you've gotten the bodywork ready to go, you can see that it's been painted. So give it, after you get that imperfections removed and your taillight panels, etc., set up, you can prime and paint your body. This one with a medium red, and then you see the grille. It has insert parts there that have been had a black wash applied to give it a little definition. And of course your clear lenses will be installed with some clear glue or some white glue. The windshield wipers have black rubber on them, so go ahead and detail that with a Sharpie. Also, you note the trim there for the chrome looking parts. You can either use a Sharpie pen or a chrome pen or even gold metal, old bare metal foil to make that stand out. The decals go on nicely, and they're really pretty. Just use plenty of warm water when you put them in position. Now you see that the grill up front there has been installed along with that rear panel tail, so that we can add the rest of the pieces, the lower body panel back and the front and rear bumpers, and the hood is ready to be installed. And then we're going to put the whole thing together. And once you get the bumpers and things on, you can go ahead and locate this onto the interior, the lower portion of the body. Just make sure that you know where the gluing points are going to be. Add a little strong glue there and make sure that it is firmly placed into position and fits nice and even and is the same height and depth all the way around. Watch your stance. And a little tip here, the instructions have you putting the front stone shield onto the bumper before you install it, but I found it was better to glue that to the body and then glue the front bumper into place. It just seemed to make it easier and a better fit. Now you can see our racer from the front. The bumpers have been added. You can see how that looks. Make sure they're in there firmly and that they fit flush against their stops. Also, you see a little black wash around the headlights there for that model. In the rear, the Comet stands out from the decals, and there's a little black wash on the taillight panel as well. The chrome bumper is in position and starting to look like a real car. All right, and here you see the parts that were left over. Some of the decals weren't used, as well, of course, some of the big block pieces that remained from the original AFX version, and even some wheels and tires that maybe came from the original OEM kit. And the roll bar I didn't use because I didn't see it in pictures of the racers either. So there you have it. Your model is complete, and it's a dandy looking version of what you would have seen in the mid-60s race cars circuit before the cars started getting funny. And they used, in that time, the actual bodies of the cars that they would modify and as much as the rules would permit. And then they gave them usually a pretty decent-looking paint job. And, of course, the engine work was, kind of free-for-all back then. This one here boosted from, about 270 to nearly 400 horsepower for a small block. Really set the drag racing scene on fire back then. It's a great-looking little car, and if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf. Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review is brought to you in part by Ryder's Hobby Shops, where the fun begins. Stop in to one of Ryder's 2 convenient Michigan locations, where you'll find a full range of the latest hobby products, supplies, parts, tools, and paint. You'll find aisles and aisles of scale model kits, RC models, model rockets, Warhammer gaming, and railroading products. Stop in at Ryder's today and tell them Doug sent you.